Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Wellness Blueprints. I'm Jess Milner. I'm so glad you're here to nourish your roots with me today. Today, I've got my Master Nutritionist hat on because we are in the midst of a new nutrition trend out there. We have a protein trend going on, and there's a protein craze, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, but I want to make sure that we're not falling for marketing and that we're only looking at nutrition. Okay, so welcome on in. Okay, so yes, protein craze. We are seeing protein, like, look at this high protein, this or that on cereals and pancakes and ice cream and coffee creamers. Okay. But the thing is, like, are you actually getting protein when you are purchasing these things and consuming them, or are you just falling for clever marketing? Okay. Do you guys remember, or have you heard about, in the 80s and 90s, they have this whole like fat craze. It was everything fat free, low fat. And there was the war on fat. Fat was super bad. And, so they started slapping this fat free label on everything, right? You could put it on a bag of apples, like, this bag of apples is fat free. Great. That is real food. But they also put it on stuff like Tootsie Rolls and Twizzlers. Okay. So, like, just because a food was fat free didn't mean that it was good for you. And they were adding sugar to a lot of stuff, which we know now really it was no goods. It was just no goods. We're not going to get into it. It was just no goods. I've written papers on that. But we are doing it again with protein. Okay. Now, it's a little bit different here because protein, is something that we need. We're not vilifying protein, which I love because, we don't want to ever vilify a macronutrient, not for long term anyway. I know some of you out there love your keto, your carnivore. That's great. You do you. But as a general rule, as a master nutritionist, I would tell people eat real food. You want to have, your balance of your protein, your healthy fats, and your carbs. So I don't like, with the whole fat thing, they were just like, vilifying an entire one. And then we did it again with carbs. Like right after we did it again with the carbs. So now we're like, yay, protein. And yes, protein is very good. We need protein. Amino acids, they are the building blocks of our body. Okay, so why do we need protein? Well, to build muscle, repair muscle, to help us with hormones. It helps our immune system function. It helps us to create an enzyme so enzymes can function. It helps us with fullness. Okay, so that we're not like, eating all the things all the live long day. There are amino acids that are essential, which meaning we can't make them on our own. So we need to consume them in order for our body to have them. And the interesting thing about the amino acids is that when you do not have all of the amino acids present in your meal, you won't use any of you won't use the protein. Your body needs to have it all there in order to be able to utilize it. So if you're missing one, it's like, suck, like I missed one. So quality and bioavailability absolutely matter. So it's not necessarily about the amount of protein, it's what can your body actually use. Okay. So what is this what is this madness we're seeing? Okay, like we're seeing like high protein like on all of these labels, and like high protein menus and stuff like that. I noticed one at Chipotle over the weekend. Now, I'm not going to say I didn't appreciate that they have like a little cup of chicken that I can just get. It was delicious, probably had seed oils, but but I'm not saying that I didn't like that. That's a great option for somebody to have, but there are, there's other things out there that basically they're just adding cheap protein isolates to stuff. They're putting it in junk food. And that is a hard no. Okay. Because you're still going to have it loaded with sugar or some kind of other artificial sweetener or something that may or may not be good. There's probably some seed oils in there. There could be other artificial additives and things like that. And all of that gets ignored because there's 20 grams of protein. But, there could still be more sugar than candy in there. So, if you're looking at that, that's not health food, that's marketing. So they're saying it's high in protein, but it's high in a bunch of other nonsense too. So we want to pay attention to that because it's not always a health food just because it's marketed that way. Going back to that low fat thing, if any of you remember Snackwell's cookies, Snackwell's cookies, I mean, honestly, they didn't taste all that great, but they were these low fat or fat free cookies loaded with sugar, but it marketed as a health food because it is complying with the health craze of the week or the month or the year. Okay. So the proteins are just not all created equal. And sometimes people get a little like perturbed about this, but I didn't make up the science. Okay. Like I just telling you. All right. But high bioavailable protein is going to be stuff like eggs and meat and fish and dairy. because those animal proteins have all of the amino acids present. So you don't need to eat, eggs and fish in order to get all of your amino acids. It's all in the egg or it's all in the fish. Okay. A lower bioavailability is going to be a lot of plant proteins. Quinoa has it all. But most things, most like legumes and stuff like that, you're gonna like you pair rice and beans together. And that's why rice and beans go together, and that makes a complete protein so your body can utilize it. Those are both still first and foremost carbohydrates, and they are going to process as such in your body. The protein in there probably is not going to get as used, and that's why, because it's the sugars are going to be used to the protein is going to be used to slow down the sugars breaking down into glucose. It's going to be helpful for your blood sugar, but it's still like the protein in there, it's still going to be utilized for something else like that. So you just don't get as much of it. And then the processed like protein isolates, those are not going to be as good of a quality as well. So there actually are, this is gonna get a little bit nerdy. I'll try not to be too nerdy, but there are, guidelines that we use. There's the protein digestibility corrected amino acid score. This is what is still used in United States and Canada, and it basically goes through and like it gives like a score for like bioavailability, and it's been used for a long time, and so companies have to meet this requirement to be able to write like good source of protein, high protein, so it is regulated. The thing is, and we actually have another score that we like to use now, but it's not like the backbone guideline for who allows what to get written on the package. You know what I mean? So what those guides don't look into is, how like it's not really looking into true digestibility and bioavailability. So when we look more into the small intestine, we come up with this digestible indispensable amino acid score, which breaks it down more. And when you look at the two, like you can tell, like it breaks it down and shows that, whey protein and plant proteins are just not as bioavailable. They're not as digestible. They're not going to nourish the body in the sense that protein would, it's not going to do the protein thing as well as the animal proteins are. So, even when you're looking at these labels, you're like, oh, I can trust this label because they said it's high protein. It is regulated, but the regulations could be better. So I just want you to know that, okay? Like the regulations could be better. It's going to say this is a good source of protein and it's nothing but plant proteins or nothing but whey proteins in there. And so it has a certain amount of it in there, but it's probably not as bioavailable as they are trying to make you believe that it is. Or it's most likely not. Probably most likely not. It's not. Okay, so what are some of the things that we want to look for? So when you are shopping, you want to look for, if you can, grass-fed beef, wild caught fishes rather than farm raised. Look for organic versus conventional. But I am going to say this, I'm going to say this so clearly, okay? If you cannot afford or you cannot find these options, it is still better for you to have like conventional beef than it is for you to not have plant protein. Okay. Like I'm sorry, animal protein. It is better for you to just eat. I didn't say that clearly at all. You can eat conventional over organic if your other option is a lower availability of protein, like a plant protein or something like that. Okay. If you are going to like get this pre-made shake with whey protein in it because it says organic on it, rather than the conventional ground beef that you can afford, get the conventional ground beef. It's going to be better for you. That's okay. All right. Like, I don't want you to feel bad because you can't afford, the wild caught, the fancier ones and stuff like that. They shouldn't be fancier. We shouldn't be, like it's a whole thing. There's lots of opinions on this and everything, but go ahead and get what you can get because it's better for you to eat the damn meat than it is for, than for you to just not be getting the protein, because not everybody can thrive on a plant-based protein diet. Like not everybody does well in that. Most people don't actually. Okay. In my experience as a clinical nutritionist. Okay. What else do we want to look for? We want to watch out for the sugar content because sometimes, like I was saying, there's more than 20 grams of sugar in there. No goods. Look for seed oils lurking in stuff. Look, seed oils sneak into stuff out there, outside of your home, try to keep them from coming into your house because when you're out, like, I was at Chipotle, my daughter wanted some, whatever, doesn't matter. Like that's when you're out. At home, we want to keep that aside. And that's how we can do a true kind of a moderation thing. Because if you live in the United States of America, chances are you're going to come in contact with some seed oils unless you absolutely are doing all the things yourself. It's difficult to avoid entirely. Okay. We want to look for artificial sweeteners. We want to look for artificial additives. We want to look for the protein type and quality. Like I said, okay, like looking at it, like how many ingredients? Like, is this a food or is it a science experiment? Okay, protein pancakes with 30 grams of sugar. What? No, thank you. Especially when like you can add in some protein powder or add in a couple of extra eggs into your pancake mix to up the protein in there. Okay. Protein ice cream with inflammatory oils. Just read the, make sure that they're not using inflammatory oils in there. Protein bars. Oh my gosh. Some of these protein bars, actually, most of them, let's be very honest, these protein bars are candy bars that they've added whey to. So they're usually not anything that's going to be good for your body, and you're probably going to have a sugar crash and be hungry again pretty quickly. It's not going to do any favors for your hormones and stuff like that. And then we have protein cereals, which, they're still like half sugar. So, I mean, it's going to slow down how fast it spikes your blood sugar, but it's not in terms of protein. You're like, look, I got 12 grams of protein this morning. No, you didn't, because all the sugar that was in there. It was a nice try though. So, I'm not trying to be mean here. Okay. I'm just trying to let you know the truth of the matter. Okay. Because there's a lot of marketing stuff out there. There's a lot of things going on. All right. So what do we want to look for? We want to eat real food. We want to eat real food. Okay. So what are we looking for? We want to look for eggs, meat, fish, dairy, legumes, pair them with a grain, rice and beans, that kind of thing. Nuts and seeds. Those are a great source of protein. Well, they've got protein. They also have fat in them too. Okay. So real foods. So, how much do you actually need? So it's like, what do they say? It's like just under a gram per like pound of your body or something to that effect. But basically, I mean, if you are a woman in your late 30s, early 40s, 50s, you're doing, you're going through perimenopause, menopause, you're probably going to want to be aiming for about 100 grams a day ish. Okay. And that's going to be, give or take. It depends on how much you're doing, how active you are, what your goals are. Are you lifting weights? Like, what stage of life are you in? Like, what exactly is going on? So it is going to vary a little bit. I don't want you to stress over it too much. I do want you to spread it out over the day, so it's not like all at once. You have, your breakfast, lunch, dinner, or like maybe you could have breakfast, snack, dinner. You don't have to eat like 3 big meals a day, of course, but if you're looking, trying to aim for, if you're doing 3 meals a day, if you're aiming for about 30 grams of protein a day, you should be okay. Per meal, 30 grams per meal, you should be okay. I'm going to say that again so that when we do a little podcast clip here, that it's right. If you are aiming for 30 grams of protein per meal, then you should do okay with 3 meals a day. Okay. Then you should be right about where you need to be, and your body's going to be getting enough of what it needs. Okay. Now, in terms of powders and stuff like that, your shakes and everything, you can use those, but remember, they are for supplementing. Okay. They're not meant to replace your meals, everything, but you do want to look for grass-fed whey. The whey proteins, usually they're going to be more bioavailable than the plant-based ones. But if you want to go for a plant-based one, that's okay. Just make sure that you're looking for organic. You want less ingredients, are going to be better. Look for third-party testing, because like these things with powders, like all kinds of gunk and like lead and all kinds of stuff manages to find its way into those tubs and everything. So make sure that you're getting some third-party testing to make sure that there's like no mold and like things like that in there. And use these things for for like a post-workout thing if you need to, or like for busy mornings and stuff, but don't use it as a crutch. Like, you shouldn't have like your emotional support protein shake with you every day. Okay. Like, we don't want to do that. We would rather have real food. And this is just for like an on the go, when it's like a necessary kind of a thing. So, all right. What's the bottom line here, guys? It's, eat real food. Be a human who eats real food. Read your ingredients list. If it's got like 15 plus ingredients, just pass. Real food over processed food all the time. It always wins. Your body knows. Your body knows that, most of the protein that was listed in the coffee cold foam creamer is not being absorbed as protein. In your mind, you're going, oh, yay me, I got all my protein in. But how much of it did your body actually take in? You can't fool your body. your body knows what it's going to take in, what it's going to utilize, and what's going to nourish. Okay. And your body will win every time. Real food will win this every single time. Your body will feel better when you do that. Because remember, we did it with the gluten-free stuff too. People were writing like, look, these eggs are gluten-free. It's like, well, no shit. Of course eggs are gluten-free. They always have been. But when something's popular, they will pay for that marketing to write it on there, because then people go, oh, I'm gluten-free, I should buy this. Well, all of the eggs are gluten-free, sweetie. So we don't want to, and same thing with the Twizzlers, calling a bag of some the sugary thing, a naturally low fat food or a naturally fat free food, whichever, doesn't make it healthy. That's just marketing. So we want to have the knowledge to know whether or not something is being truthful, partially truthful, or if it's just big fat marketing. And real food wins every single time. So thanks so much for stopping in today. Please share this with somebody who needs a little lesson in protein, because this is a big thing. And protein is good for you, but we're getting into a spot where everybody's getting crazy about it. And I want to make sure that you are getting the protein that you need and your body's actually able to use it. Okay. We don't need to buy all of the things, you don't have to change which, brand of something that you want to pick up because this one says it has protein in it. You eat real food to get your protein. Okay. Eat that real food and your body will be like, thank you so much. All right. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. See you again next week. Don't forget to hit that subscribe and that share. Love you. Love you.